All right, so we're making my famous spaghetti bolognese. This is a recipe that I've been asked about literally like hundreds of times for the recipe, so here it is. I'm gonna start first of all by roasting these cherry tomatoes with a little bit of garlic. I sprinkled a little bit of oregano, dried oregano. I have some garlic cloves in there with the skin still on. I have some cracked pepper and a little bit of salt, and now I'm gonna toss them in the oven at 375 degrees. So here we go. I put the cherry tomatoes and the garlic. I'm gonna roast them in the oven, and we'll check back on them in about, I don't know, like 30 minutes or so. Okay, so about 15-20 minutes later, the cherry tomatoes should look something like this. You can see they're nicely roasted. The garlic should be nicely roasted as well, and the inside they should probably look about like golden brown on the inside. So now we're gonna shut off the oven, pull them off, and just put them aside for right now. Okay, so now I have here 15% ground beef, and I'm gonna take some salt, season it lightly like this, a little bit of ground pepper. And now I have this Dutch oven, enamel Dutch oven pot. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of butter, put it in. It's been warming up the last like 3 or 4 minutes on medium heat. Medium heat, okay? We don't wanna go high heat here. Medium heat is good. A little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and now I'm gonna throw in the ground beef. And I'm gonna let it saute just for the next few minutes. We're trying to achieve just a little bit of color, not too much color. I'll show you in a few minutes what it looks like. So while the meat is sauteing in the pot, I have here 1 large yellow onion. I have 2 large carrots and 3 celery sticks and 2 garlic cloves. I'm gonna put everything in the food processor. And we're gonna puree this. We're trying to achieve a consistency, which I'm gonna show you right now. It's gonna be pulpy, so we're gonna be looking for a pulpy texture for this. Okay, so I pureed it for about, I don't know, like 30 seconds or so, and see the texture. This is the texture we're looking for. This is very important. Look at that. See, it almost looks like wet beach sand. So we don't want to go less than this. We don't want, because I don't. As far as I'm concerned, I don't like a chunky bolognese sauce. I like it very, very smooth, very velvety. So we're looking for this kind of texture. See that? It almost feels like wet beach sand, like this. Okay, so I've been sauteing the ground beef, like I said, at medium heat, and this is about 5 minutes in, so you can see we're starting to get some color. Like I said, we're not looking to sear this, so we're not looking to brown this like too much. We don't want to achieve any dark brownness. We just want to get just a little bit of just like some delicate cooking on it. We're not trying to sear this. I got to repeat this because it's very important. And now at this stage, now you notice I'm with the back of the spoon, I'm mashing it down. Because like I said earlier, I do not want a chunky bolognese sauce. I like it to be nice and velvety. So with the back of the spoon, you gotta keep mashing it until all the big chunks turn into small little morsels of meat. And actually, here's a pretty cool tip, which I kind of came up with on my own, just because I like the consistency of it. I take a potato masher, and I slowly mash down the meat. Like I said, because I'm trying to achieve a very, very delicate, smooth, velvety bolognese sauce. So with a potato masher, you break down the ground beef, break it down just like this, and you're gonna get that beautiful texture, which you'll see in most bolognese sauces in Italy. Anybody who's had bolognese sauce in Italy will know exactly what I'm talking about here. Okay, so now we're about 7 to 8 minutes in, and you can see with the potato masher, I pulverized the meat pretty nicely here. You can see how there's no big chunks. It's all pretty nicely separated out. So now what we're gonna do is, and you can see the color. There's almost no color, but it's definitely cooked all the way through. So now we're ready for the second step, which is now to put in all those beautiful vegetables that I pureed earlier. We're gonna put them in there. So you can see here it's all in there, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna incorporate everything together. We're still on medium heat, and we're gonna let this cook down, sweat down for the next like 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so we're still at medium heat, and you can see how we're slowly simmering away. So now what we're gonna do is this is another key secret tip here, is I'm gonna create an opening here in the middle. This is very important because when we're about to add one of my favorite ingredients here to make this Bolognese sauce, which is tomato paste. We're gonna put the tomato paste right in the middle of the pot like this. Okay. This is about like 1 big tablespoon of tomato paste right there, and let it sit there for about a minute. Don't touch it for about a minute. Okay, so now you can see how what I'm trying to do here basically is I'm trying to caramelize the tomato paste at the bottom of the pot. See that? So we're gonna create even more, like we're trying to create a depth of flavor here. And you do that by when you caramelize the tomato paste in a pot like this, the bottom of the pot, you're gonna develop incredible flavor. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring everything together. And now we're going to combine everything together. Nice. Incorporate everything. The caramelized tomato paste, the meat, the vegetables. We're all going to come together. And we're still at low heat. And we're going to cook it for another 5 more minutes. Okay, now we're ready for another secret ingredient in my Bolognese is nutmeg. And I got this cool little little bottle here from when we went to Italy. We went to Sicily last summer, and this cool little nutmeg comes with a little grater inside. We got it in Sicily last summer, but here we go. So we're gonna take the grater and then the nutmeg, and you're gonna grate just a bunch of nutmeg in here. You know, nutmeg, it can be a very powerful spice, so you know I wouldn't use too much, but at the same time, you know, I love the flavor, so I'm gonna add, you know, just a little bit. I mean, it's hard to tell the amount that you're gonna use, but I would say maybe like 15-20 grinds. Okay, so I'm combined the nutmeg, and once again we're mixing, incorporating everything, and then now what we're gonna do is the next key step here, and we're gonna take do you remember the roasted tomato we made earlier? So what I did was I took the garlic cloves and I peeled the skin, and I threw the skin away, and we kept the garlic clove, and you can see how beautifully caramelized those are. Those are gorgeous. Look at that. See? Very golden brown, delicious. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take everything, the olive oil, which has been roasting nicely, the tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, garlic, and we're going to toss everything inside. Okay, so now we're going to, with the wooden spatula, we're going to chop up the tomatoes right into the meat, like see that? Chop them right in. Mix and chop, mix and chop, mix and chop. Incorporate everything together. Okay, so for the last minute, notice I've been, with the back of the spoon, I've been mashing it in. The garlic, the tomatoes, the roasted tomatoes I put in there, you want to smash them in. Like I said, we're looking for a velvety sauce at the very end. And you can see the texture. You can see the texture, folks. Look at that. See that? It's literally like wet beach sand. There's no big chunks of anything. It's just all smooth, one smooth, homogeneous consistency. Okay, now for my secret ingredient, you gotta use a good wine, folks, good wine. So this is the wine I've been drinking tonight, which is a Barolo. And you know, you wanna take maybe like about half a cup, 1 cup. Depends if you like wine. If you don't like wine, you can skip the step, that's fine. Put the wine in there, and keep in mind we're still at medium heat, and then mix it all in. Okay, so now I'm gonna add one more amazing ingredient for me, as far as I'm concerned, white pepper. So put it in there, You know, if you like white pepper, if you like the taste, put a lot. I love the taste, so I put maybe about one teaspoon. You know, let's just say half a teaspoon, and let it in there. Put it in there and start cooking. Start cooking it down. Okay, so now on to the next step, which is probably my favorite part. And now we're gonna take some San Marzano tomatoes, or any kind of tomatoes that you like, pureed here, and we're gonna put them in there. Put the whole jar in there and spin it all around. We're gonna mix it all in. I'm gonna check back in about 5 minutes to see what the consistency looks like. Okay, so here we go. I keep mixing, incorporate everything. And you can see now the color of the sauce is starting to look more and more like a bolognese. Keep in mind all the work that we did in the beginning. We built so much foundation. We built so many layers of flavor. And I'm sure many of you can already see that the depth of flavor we've achieved up to this point is going to be incredible. But we're still not even done yet. So just be patient. Keep mixing it in. And as soon as this is incorporated nicely, we're going to add some beef broth here. I had that beef broth simmering for the last 20-30 minutes, and once again here I used beef bouillons for this. You know, there's no need to make your own. I mean, if you want to make your own beef broth, that's fine, but I find that beef bouillons taste just as good as homemade beef stock from scratch, and with a lot less work and headaches. So here we go. We're adding about a cup of beef broth. Look at that beautiful texture. See that? Look at that. Beautiful. Velvety, smooth, delicate, tons of flavor. We built so much flavor in this thing, you will not even be able to believe it once you start eating it. But we're still not even done yet. So we're gonna keep stirring it around for a couple of minutes, and I'm gonna show you some other key ingredients we're gonna add to it to take it to a whole new level. Okay, so at this point, you want to taste it for salt. You know, you don't want to go overly salty at this point, because keep in mind the sauce is going to reduce down, and once it reduces, you know, the salt's going to become more concentrated. So if you over salted it in the beginning, you might regret that decision that you did earlier. So just keep in mind you can salt it, you know, towards the end. But for right now, I took 2 Parmigiano Reggiano rinds. See that? Beautiful rinds. Don't ever throw these away. These are the key ingredient to making a killer bolognese. So don't ever throw the rinds away of the Parmigiano Reggiano, the cheese, beautiful Italian cheese. So 2 rinds, and I'm gonna take some thyme leaves, toss them in there, and now we're gonna cover it, and we're gonna reduce the heat down to low, and we're gonna cover the pot, and we're gonna let it simmer for a good hour and a half, 2 hours. Okay, so you have to be very patient for this, okay folks? Okay, so 30 minutes in, and this is how we're looking. See that? Simmering beautifully. Keep in mind we're still on low heat at this moment. See that? Very low heat. I'm gonna cover it back up and let it simmer for about another hour more. Patience. Okay, so 45 minutes in, you can see how it's reduced down by quite a bit. We got a beautiful red, very strong red color here, and you can see how it's nice, and it has a very stew-like consistency, which is like a ragu, which is exactly what we're looking for. And I forgot to say that I put 2 bay leaves in there. At the same time I put in the thyme leaves. I forgot to mention that earlier. And then now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take about half a cup of milk, just regular milk, put it in there, and then stir it. So I cut up some ciabatta bread, put a little bit of olive oil on them, and put them in the oven at 400 degrees, and I'm gonna try to crisp them up. These will be some beautiful breads to eat with the spaghetti bolognese once we're ready. So 1 hour and 50 minutes later, and here's how we're looking. As you can see, bubbling away, simmering away. Beautiful looking bolognese, and we're almost there, folks. So just a little bit more patience. Probably about 30 more minutes, and we'll be ready to plate this beautiful bolognese. So at this point, I took out the beautifully golden brown ciabatta slices from the oven, and now I'm gonna take a clove of garlic, and I'm gonna rub it into the into the bread like this, because you want to get the aroma of the garlic, just like that. I do that with, like I said in other videos, I do that on every single time I make croutons or make garlic bread. I'm gonna take the bread out of the oven. I'm gonna start rubbing the garlic on the hot, crispy, golden brown bread, just like that. Okay, so after I rub the garlic on the bread, I'm gonna take a little bit of grated Parmesan Reggiano cheese. I'm gonna sprinkle here on top like this, on top of the hot bread. Take a mixture of parsley and garlic and sprinkle on top just like this. Sprinkle the garlic, sprinkle the parsley and the basil on top, and now you have beautiful, crusty, golden brown bread to eat with the Bolognese sauce when we're ready. Okay, so here I have a big pot full of boiling water on high heat, and I'm gonna take about a shot glass with the salt in it. I'm gonna put the entire salt in the boiling hot water. Toss the spaghetti in the boiling hot water, which I just salted very, very liberally, and let the pasta cook in there, and make sure that you don't go past al dente. We want al dente pasta. We don't want mushy spaghetti, okay? So make sure that you stick to the package instructions for al dente. While the pasta is cooking, I put two hot plates in about a 400-degree oven. I'm gonna let these plates get nice and hot, because when we serve the pasta, we want to serve them on a very, very hot plate. So keep the pasta plates in there for the exact same amount of time as the pasta is boiling in the water. So 2 hours in, here's how that beautiful Bolognese is looking. As you can see, it looks gorgeous. It's ready to go. So as soon as the spaghetti is done, we're gonna plate it all together, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Okay, so here we go. So I'm taking out the very hot plate, so make sure to use a towel like this. And now we're gonna take the spaghetti is nice al dente. I just took a look at it. And now we're gonna take the beautiful Bolognese. Look, see how very thick. But you see, it's not runny. It's not watery. It's not very thick either. So we're kind of looking for the middle. Look, the hot plate is very hot. See how it's sizzling like that? This is exactly what we're looking for. Okay. So now we're gonna take the spaghetti, which is al dente. Take it out from the water. Put it in there. Give it a toss. Okay. Just like that. Take a little bit more if you want. Give it a toss in the very hot plate. We're going to take a little bit of Parmesan Reggiano, a little bit of parsley and basil mixed together, just like that. And now we're going to give it a toss. Okay, so now we're going to do it the Italian way. You take a big spatula like this, take a big fork like that, take the spaghetti and twirl it on the top of the big spatula like this. Put it down. Twirl it. You want to make it nice and presentable at the very end. Just like that. Take a little bit of some more of that beautiful Bolognese, and just give it a few more touches like that on top. Like that. Garnish with a little bit more Parmigiano Reggiano. And then finish it off with some beautiful parsley and basil mix right there. And there you go, folks. The beautiful homemade from scratch spaghetti alla Bolognese. Enjoy. So here's how it looks like, folks. You see that beautiful Bolognese here, and you can see at the very end, you of course want to garnish with the bread, the ciabatta bread that we rub with the garlic. And of course, you cannot forget, you cannot eat a Bolognese without a beautiful glass of red wine, Italian preferably. In this case right here, it's a Barolo. So, or whatever wine you prefer. So from my house to your house, from my family to your family, cheers.